We're really blurry right now with lots of different littles, but we wanted to film a video about littles and non-human alters, and I'm gonna color this picture at the same time. And we'll give updates about the picture. I have lots of coloring things. I had this whole big book of coloring things, of markers and colored pencils. So I have lots to work with. And you can probably see Charlie. She's on the couch. She says hi. If we get less blurry in a specific little switches, they'll probably say their name, but maybe not. We'll see. I'm gonna answer questions that we got from Discord. So the first question is, why do littles exist? I think there's a couple of reasons. Sometimes littles exist because the brain didn't get to have happy childhood, and so now the fan interrupted me, so I turned it off. It's just gonna get a bit warm in here if I take too long. If the brain didn't get to have a happy childhood, I think it makes widows so that the widows can play and have that happy childhood later when maybe the body's not a widow anymore. But also sometimes widows exist to be trauma holders for bad things that happen at that age. I'm gonna say most of our widows are non-human, so this is about widows and non-human alters. I don't remember if I said that, but most of all of our alters are non-human, but a lot of our widows are aminos. That's why I'm wearing the fuzzy hat. So the next question is, why do non-human alters exist? And that's a little bit different. So let me get another. I'm using this cover now. Non-human alters are sometimes like the bad way. I'm gonna start with the good way. The good way for non-human alters exist, I think, is if they think, if only I had wings, or if only I had claws, or was strong enough, or things like that bad things wouldn't have happened. That's kind of the good way, but sometimes people are treated like they're not really people, and sometimes that makes the brain make non-human alters too. What age is considered a little? So we consider littles to be until they turn 10. Then we consider them middles, and we consider them middles until they're probably, it depends. It might only be like 10 to 12, because the teenagers don't really like being called middles. And if they don't like it, we don't call them that. So maybe it's littles, middles, teenagers, adults. But some of the older teenagers don't even want to be called teenagers. They just want to be treated like they're a full adult. Especially now that their body's an adult. But for the littles question, we say until you turn 10. Is one type of dysphoria worse than another for you? If so, why? Okay. So I think it means like age dysphoria from being little, or like body dysphoria from being non-human. I think that's gonna depend a lot on which one of us you ask, because size, I think, is a big part of both things. Because this body feels like it's too big, and we did our nails. I just realized it's hard to see. Where's the black background? We did our nails. It's a bluey greeny color. I'm sorry. A big part is size, because like I feel like I used to be able to curl up and get really, really small, and this body doesn't get small enough. So that's kind of both things, because a lot of little animals are really, really little. Like we have squirrels and chipmunks and stuff. So we have a bunny. What the bunny's name is Bunny. Bunny is here. Bunny said I couldn't say that. Yeah, it's not the right color. I will use this color for the two benches. I'm sorry. So I think size is the thing that bothers a lot of us the most. But then also the thing that can be worse about dysphoria from being non-human is having like a tail or wings or things like that you're supposed to have that you don't have it all out here. And that can be really, really weird and hard. I'm trying really hard coloring inside the lines to make a pretty picture if we're going to show it to other people on the internet. Some of us are better coloring than others. I don't have a very steady hand and I get impatient. I think there was a question about different whims. Yeah, how often do non-human authors experience the phantom whim effect, and is it common for your non-human authors? We experience it a lot, so that's like what I was just saying of if like say you're a cat and you think your ears are supposed to be up here and you're supposed to have a tail and your teeth should be sharper and things like that. Things that you feel like should be on your body that then aren't on your body, that's really noticeable. And that's I think everybody in our system who has, like, even if they're not little, even if they're a whole adult. I know Jade all of the time expects to have her claws and expects to be able to grow her wings and fly away. And it's really weird to have it not be there. And then they ask for tips for that, for the phantom limbs. There are some things you can do. Like, this hat helps. It feels furry and it's got the ears on it. So if I look up at the picture where I can see myself in the camera, that helps a little bit. This is furry too. I like that. I don't like looking at the face, because the face looks really, really wrong. And you can, as much as you can, try to think of it like the body is somebody else, and like almost make yourself dissociate from it, kind of, or depersonalize from it, kind of, so that it doesn't feel like your body is wrong. It's just somebody else's body, and your right body is still there inside. It also helps a lot if you have a hard time with it to just not front. And I know that that's not always possible, but a lot of our non-human others and widows do not front very much, because it can be really hard. But I know that's not always an option. But if it is, that definitely helps, because then you have your real body inside. Okay, this says, out of curiosity, does a non-human alter fill a role that a human one can't? Oh, that's an interesting question. I think a lot of non-human alters are trauma holders, because I don't think there's a role that they have that a human alter can't have, except like just being non-human, because like a lot of other stuff of like being able to play and not be as worried about like society rules and things like that can be with littles too, even if they're human. So I don't think there's anything you have to be non-human for, but for us, we're almost completely non-human, and it helps us feel stronger and safer in a lot of ways. It's also like fun inside. It's fun to play around in the trees and to chase each other down, and like we have a water dragon named Squirt, and she runs around spraying people with water with her water magic powers. And that's another thing, is you can have like fantasy creatures with magic powers, and that can help you feel safer and things like that. So I think it can help with some things. I think it can help you feel stronger as a protector. especially for like inside protector. I know it helps Dave feel stronger being non-human, like more non-human, more animally than old Jade was. I know it helps her feel stronger as an internal protector. Yeah, I think that's as good as I can answer that question. Why are some littles more mature than others? So, some littles are older than others, that's for sure part of it. But also, different times, like different systems might have different ideas. Their brain has different ideas of what people at a certain age are like. Because, like, sometimes, you know the phrase of, like, you had to grow up too fast? There are things like that of where you might expect, like, a 5-year-old to be able to cook or to do things like that. And it can have some to do with your actual childhood. But there's also things like it's just depending, like, even in the same system. Like, for some reason, a lot of our littles are really good at typing normal sentences, but they sound little, like I do right now. And that, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Aura, our host, is always confronting, and maybe she helps with spelling and things. But I'm not sure. And some of us have a little bit of trouble with spelling, or it feels more natural to spell it wrong than to spell it right. But a lot of times widows also have some practice pretending to be big. I think it's called masking. That's a way that systems can hide for a long time, is to pretend. So that's part of it too, I think. Okay, yeah, along the same lines. Do littles know adult words and meanings? A lot of times they can. Not always. Like, we have a little named Joe who is still learning what lots of things are. She's very little. I think she might be like 2 or 3. And she's still learning what lots of things are. So she'll point to things and say what she thinks it is. And we help her. We're helping her learn. But we have lots and lots of widows who know lots of those things. I think it might have something to do with amnesia sometimes. Like, some widows might have more amnesia from certain parts of the brain. That's what I think. If DID and OSDD are supposed to be hidden, why do littles act so much different? Well, first of all, it's not always supposed to be hidden. Some systems are not hidden really at all. I'm gonna show you where I'm going to picture quickly. I've been working on the tree first, and I'm gonna work on the leaves next, I think, or maybe the berry things. I think I'm gonna do the berries, actually. I'm gonna make them this color. Okay, but Let me think. Sometimes the brain needs something that's a little bit counterintuitive. Like, if the brain thinks it needs to be widow to process something bad that happened, but being widow and acting widow makes them less safe, it's hard for the brain to prioritize, I think. And so it ends up still having widows, even though it wasn't necessarily completely safe for the widows to act like themselves. So then they have to learn how to hide. But also, not all widows act super widow. And that's totally valid if you don't act super widow. Most of our widows do, but a lot of our middows don't, even really young middows. And they can take on a lot of responsibility if they wanna, a lot of times. But hopefully they don't have to. Because it's nice to have the option, but to not have to. I hope that helps. Someone asked if there are inanimate objects. I know there can be. I don't know if we have any alters who are inanimate objects. We have NPCs that are objects, and the difference is that an NPC can't front, and like in our case, we can use magic to make an NPC. So like, we make magical necklaces sometimes for widows that they can wear that gets someone to help them if they're scared or something bad is happening. That'd be an example of that's an NPC for us, because it's more than just an object. But it's not an altar because it can front. So I think that's one thing. And then there can be inanimate object altars. I don't think we have any, but I am not positive. I don't know everybody in our system. I don't know if anybody knows everybody in our system. We have a big system. And starting to work on the leaves now. But it said why. Why would there be inanimate objects? Sometimes the brain thinks that like an inanimate object wouldn't have felt pain, or that like bad things wouldn't have happened to the inanimate object. Or sometimes, this is also true with like animal altars, sometimes people see object or animals or things like that being treated better than they're being treated, and they wish they were being treated better like that. So that can be another reason. You can also just have a really deep connection, like a stuffed animal. If you had a stuffed animal that made you feel safe when you were scared, and you ended up with an altar of that stuffed animal, that would make sense, because that was really important for helping you feel safe when you were scared. So there can be things like that too. Are mystic creatures like angels or elves non-human too? They're basically human. We think of them as non-human, but they are humanoid. So that's what we say is like, if we have an elf who looks a lot like a human, but they just have pointy ears or something, they're humanoid. So they're a lot like a human, but they're still not a human. And they can still have dysphoria, like about their ears, or about not having powers that they're supposed to have, or things like that. So, especially since they can still have dysphoria, we still call them non-human. How common or uncommon are non-human alters? In our system, they're extremely common. I don't think I know any human alters in our system unless they're fictives of a human. Like, we have a fictive of what's a good example? We have fictives of some of the characters from Narnia, the Narnia series, and some of them are human. So they're human because they're human in their source. And otherwise we have like pretty much only non-human alters. I don't think that's common for systems to be as many as we have, but it just depends on what the system needed and what the brain decided to do with the bad things to happen. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna say it's a baby weave and color it green. Okay, sorry, I got really into it. How do non-human alters form within the system? I mean, I kind of talked about why, and the how is just the same as normal. So they just split like normal alters. I guess if that's not what you meant by the question, I'm sorry, and I don't understand what you meant, and you can ask again a little bit differently, and maybe somebody bigger or smarter than me will help us figure it out. But I'm sorry if that's not what you meant. Do non-human alters have a particular role? I kind of talked about that too. In our case, we have a lot that are protectors, and a lot that are trauma holders, and a lot that are widows that don't really have a job other than being widow. But I don't think they like have to have any particular role. This is almost the same question. Is there a specific role that most littles or non-human alters serve besides being children or non-human? In our case, trauma holders. They're mostly trauma holders, and the second most after that for littles would be caretakers, and for non-human would be protectors. But they're by far mostly trauma holders in our case. Okay, this question is asking how a reflection of oneself can identify so strongly with something non-human. Which I kind of talked about some when I talked about why they form. But, sometimes it's kind of like wish fulfillment, but on a kind of extreme level of, again, if I had wings, I could have flied away from the bad thing that was happening. If I had claws, I could have fought back. Or, like I said, there's a trigger warning for what I'm about to say for a couple mild and vague examples of being mistreated, and like the way you might think about it. Oh, the family dog gets treated better than me, or I get treated as bad as the family dog, or things like that. But you can also just have a really strong connection, like kind of similar to fictives. If you escape into a certain fictional world a lot, and that's your safe space away from bad things that are happening, it's pretty common for you to end up with fictives from that thing. So if you escape into nature, or if you escape into fantasy or things like that, like a big one for us is at one of our grandparents' houses, there was a family of foxes that made their den right off of the driveway, and we thought a lot about those baby foxes and how they had a safe hole to go into with their family to just hide if they were ever scared, or if they were cold, or if anything bad was happening, they could just go hide there. And we thought about that so much that we have lots of little foxes. But we also have like some animal books that we would look at, and we would learn about different types of foxes and different types of other animals and things like that. And I think that's part of why we have so many, is that we thought about it a lot. We thought about it a lot as an escape. How does it feel to front when you identify as non-human? It can be really hard. Because of dysphoria, but it's scary. It's more vulnerable. Because if you think about it, if you're used to having wings and claws and magic and all kinds of stuff, and you're suddenly out here and you have this flimsy little human body that can't protect itself, especially if you're a trauma holder and you know some of the types of things that can happen to people, it's really scary. So I don't know, Hi. I'm gonna make myself a little picture because it's mostly Pup now. Okay. So, my name is Pup, and I'm a little from the music core subsystem, and we were having some trouble with that question. The littles who were co-fronting in Blendy before, some of them were having trouble with that question, so I switched with them. It's really hard, and it's not as hard for some people as others, but it's really hard. Is there something in particular that you struggle more with than other things? that would be either size, probably size, but maybe vulnerability, like we were just talking about. Cause like I'm an Arctic fox. I have sharp teeth and claws inside, but I don't have those out here. But I'm also much smaller inside. And it feels wrong to be in this big of a body. Do you find yourself doing things humans wouldn't normally do while fronting, like walking on all fours or biting or licking? A lot of us make sounds that sound like our animal that we are. Like especially our kitties. Our kitty cats do a lot of meowing and purring and things like that. We definitely have a lot of non-human alters who growl. We also, a lot of us, if we feel safe and if we're okay with somebody doing it and we know about it in advance and stuff like that, we like head squitches. Things like that. We like pets. Like we like being pet. But again, only if we've said that it's okay for you to do that. Otherwise we would be scared and confused about why you were doing it. Because we're only okay with that with some people where we feel really, really, really safe. Like our partner system. Like Onyx can give me squitches whenever she wants. I talked about squitches too much and now I want squitches. Some of us also like kind of hold our hands different, like either like this for a paw or like this for claws or different things like that. So there are a lot of little things. We have a few who are more like animalistic than others and who will do licking, like they will go like this but actually lick type of things. But it's a lot of little things because we've had to be so careful to hide them for so long that we're not used to being able to do it yet. So it might be more the longer that we know it's safe. As a non-human alter, do you like being able to do human things while fronting? For example, do you enjoy being able to play video games? Yeah, I think a lot of us do. And there are some things that are nice, like I can reach things out here that I wouldn't be able to reach inside. Like there are some things that are technically nice, but still, like, playing video games draws a lot of attention to my hands, and my hands are wrong. So if I start getting too focused on that, then I won't enjoy it anymore. And there are so many fun things that I can do inside that I can't do out here. So I think there can be a good balance. I haven't even started on the squirrel yet, and I just ran out of questions. I'm going to color one more leaf, and then I'll show it to you with just the background done. And then maybe we'll make the thumbnail the picture when I finish it. or something like that. Because it's starting to get a little warm in here and I ran out of questions. But yeah, my name is Pup. I'm a little bit older of a little, but I definitely age slide. And I can get much younger if I'm scared or if I feel really, really safe. I help caretaking in the music core subsystem, which is why I switched when we were having trouble with that question, because I was still doing okay. And Nadia, the main caretaker for our subsystem, offered to switch, but I said I was doing okay, so she let me do it. Because she knew that we were hoping to make this video be just for littles, if we could. And I'm an Arctic fox. And I don't know what else to say about me, but I'm almost done with this leaf. Yeah, that's the background. And then I'll color the squirrel off camera, but I'm going to show you a couple of other pictures we drew first. There's this one. Okay. This one's pretty cute. And this one. We do lots of coloring. We color in therapy sometimes. And we color when we watch movies and stuff sometimes. Anyway, my name is Pup. And thank you for watching. And like and subscribe. And feel free to ask us more questions in the comments or over on our Discord server, which is in the description, just like our Etsy shop. And thank you for watching and have a really great day. Bye bye.